1 minute of logos. Ah yes, the 100-year celebration of Columbia Pictures, a year they gifted us with such classics as Madame Webb, Venom: The Last Dance, and this lovely piece of celluloid we have here in front of us. Really, you shouldn't have. Marvel, one that causes wonder or astonishment. Just gonna leave that there for Sony and Disney and anyone else choosing to operate under this banner, thinking it's been a minute since any of you looked up the definition.
Может, Габия с тобой рядом сяду?
No.
Kids!
Ты за кого себя держишь, козел?
It's a typical prison scene where the tough guys got a tough all over the new guy because they're tough and horny.
Сказки, правда.
Off troubling me. There's a moment here where it becomes quite obvious that the actor is no longer supporting his weight due to some kind of wire work. His movements become uncanny. It is unbearably annoying, and it happens way too often in this movie. I'm gonna say at least 20 times. Convenient, whatever the this large snowdrift / tornado is convenient. Now that I'm on the plane, let me just abs for a bit, as if a camera is present. So Kraven killed a prisoner and took his place, and not a single person noticed he was a different guy because they only ever looked at his neck tattoo? Also, we don't know what this guy did or if he was in fact guilty. Kraven committing this murder is morally suspect, and that part of his character should have been explored throughout the movie. Instead, we get a plot that wants you to believe without a doubt that Kraven is the good guy. Jump roars. So Kraven with a C means contemptibly lacking in courage or cowardly. But when you change it to a K for Kravinoff, it means we have to search the internet and try and figure out if he knew what Kraven meant in the first place, because the movie tells us all about it. Since the movie refuses to give me a date of when this upcoming scene is 16 years earlier from, I'm just going to assume the movie started in the year 2052, and this will be the year 2036. And then I will award 2 cents for neither year being depicted correctly. Where are the flying cars and sex androids? Thanks to this little detail of the Kravinoff boys going to school in New York, we will get Aaron Taylor Johnson with a distracting American accent for the rest of the movie.
Kravinoff and Kravinoff.
Coach says this like these brothers have a small firm specializing in personal injury cases.
Your mother is dead.
Maximus Decimus Meridius uses a shorthand for she was the loving parent and I'm going to be the asshole who traumatizes you into becoming a superhero.
Put the cards away now, Calypso. Think again, Calypso. I have something for you, Calypso.
I'm not sure this movie is concerned with giving us an engaging storyline to follow, but I am 100% certain it is concerned that we will not know this character's name is Calypso.
Lay 3 cards down. The first card,
the High Priestess.
Tarot card exposition and foreshadowing all in one swoop. Double the fun, double the sense.
What is it?
A MacGuffin.
it will heal whoever drinks it in undreamed of ways.
I doubt this potion can account for the dreams of every person on the planet. I'm positive someone at some point has dreamed of being a strong lion man.
Never fear death. They are prey. We are predators.
Is he saying that you shouldn't fear death because most animals don't hunt humans? This is a terrible way to rationalize not wearing seatbelts.
Perhaps it's the Tsar's illegitimate half-brother, like your Dmitri.
God damn, this guy survives only being in this movie to make expositional jokes about people's extramarital affairs.
Men who kill legend becomes legend.
Applying Highlander rules to big game hunting. This scene stares on for all the some time. Seems poetic until you realize this is from the perspective of the lion's balls. Just going to assume that's lion speak for Calypso.
In the name of all the spirits and all the mysteries.
Invoking something as vague as all of the mysteries.
Wait!
The emergency responders tasked with saving this child's life actually wait for this backpack and for her to put a tarot card in his hand.
Shocking now.
This is the last time anything shocking happens in this movie. In case you confused it with Outside Providence. That bloody shit ain't been in your rucksack for way too long. Excuse me. This bloody shirt has been in this backpack for way too long. So Sergei miraculously recovers after being dead for 3 minutes, and the doctors have zero clue how that's possible, and no one thought to check the random vial of liquid that was on his person. I still think Nikolai is an asshole, but he was right to take his son away from that hospital. Also, why did Calypso leave the vial with Sergei? I get the card, I guess, but why would she leave the magical liquid behind? This is the house of a mob kingpin, and a loud noise like this can just occur and not be investigated. Also bit by spider, lion's blood. Apparently no matter how one gets their superhero powers, one can always land in a really cool way.
Don't leave me with him.
Skip!
You on the run?
Yes, I am.
Come on then.
Fucking what? You know nothing about this kid. He could be a serial killer. You could be aiding and abetting a criminal who plans to kill you in your sleep. Not to mention he does basically end up becoming a fucking serial killer. After years of hunting with his father, Sergei thinks putting his hands over his head will protect him from a herd of rampaging buffalo. That won't even protect you from a nuclear blast, Sergei. You also have to be under a desk. Also, these African buffaloes shouldn't be found anywhere near here, unless by far eastern Russia they meant sub-Saharan Africa. 1.5 horn buffalo is 1.5 horn for the sole reason that we will need to recognize him later. Contrivance, thy name is Sin. This much time did not need to be spent on the origin of Kraven's geodesic den. The mother was such an important part of Sergei's life that he was traumatized by her passing, yet the movie does not attempt to show or explain that beyond her rocking back and forth on this hospital bed and yelling, "Sergei." Kraven from the comics was a real hunter who killed animals with his bare hands. That may not be a savory character trait these days, but it would still make more sense than him going ham on trees. I'm really curious where exactly they think Sergei's home is. They're in the middle of fucking nowhere, and he showed up on foot.
That boy.
Bringing a gun to a Kraven the Hunter with a knife fight. I love present day. It's such a gift. And a reminder that almost 40 minutes in, we still have no idea what the main plot of this movie is. I get he always has this card on him, but why did he risk it getting taken away from him in the prison? Why did the prison let him keep it?
Welcome home. We stayed under the radar as usual. Call me when you need me again.
For no understandable reason, that just played like a cutscene from a video game. In case you confused it with the time Joe Strummer said he lived by the river.
We all know who did this. Samantha dared to stand in Semyon Chorny's way and hold him accountable.
Airing your personal grievances during your speech at your friend's funeral.
Those were my grandmother's cards. I actually still carry the deck with me.
Of course you do. Also, Calypso looked at giving the card to Sergei as a noble thing, but she was also fucking up her grandmother's favorite tarot card deck in the process. Calypso is so obsessed with Chorny that she mentioned her personal vendetta against him at Samantha's funeral, but somehow missed the news that he had been fucking killed a couple days earlier.
I know who your father is. You're like him, a gangster.
Sergei is a serial killer with a god complex. He's John Kramer in the wild. He's Steve Irwin, but more stabby.
You're one of the best investigative lawyers in that place.
Movie tells me something that it could have shown me, instead of the unnecessary flashback origin story.
If you keep going after the names on that list, people you care about are gonna get hurt.
This is played as foreshadowing, but his brother Dmitri doesn't get kidnapped because he's going after someone on the list. He gets taken because someone not on the list decides to go after Kraven. Vanity plates!
Don't you want to know why they call me the Rhino?
I had every intention of making a joke until I looked up some nature facts on the subject and learned a fully erect rhinoceros penis extends up to 2.5 feet and is shaped like a lightning bolt. So maybe the joke still applies, but it's definitely more disturbing than I intended. It's super unclear whether Alexei was lucky to have been changing into the Rhino when this guy shot him, or if he's just always bulletproof. And no one will try and shoot Alexei when the Rhino protection goes away.
When a Rhino sees his opportunity, he doesn't hesitate.
Wait, rhinos are generally only aggressive when provoked. They don't hunt for fun like Kraven. You're not being very Rhino-like, Rhino dude. You can't hear it, but Sign of the Times by Harry Styles is playing to show us how good Dmitri is at lip-syncing.
The Rhino sends his regards.
Including verbal regards in your plan to whack a mob boss. Did they write his name on the bullets too? Rhino noises?
1, 2, 3.
Excitement? This does not attract the attention of more guards. How are they keeping anyone from escaping this prison with this kind of security?
What makes you think I can fit in that?
This is too big on me, so it'd be perfect for you.
And it does fit him perfectly. This is some lucky bullshit based on Dimitri's unconfirmed superpower of guessing the exact measurements of someone he hasn't seen in months.
Nice perfume, by the way.
Thanks, but I'm not actually wearing any.
Movie has time for this.
I need to be strong, fearless. I would run towards the bullets.
I'm thinking maybe you should run toward the people firing them and not just at the bullets. Movie treats it as a matter of fact that lions notoriously hate air conditioning.
What you do for work, exactly?
I hunt people.
If Sergei's trying to keep his Kraven the Hunter identity secret, he's doing a job of it.
Please, let go. Ow.
This cigarette will ultimately lead to this man's death. And while I support the message, this anti-smoking advertisement is now more cohesive than the plot.
Get the out of the way!
That was by far not the quickest way around this crowd of this loose grouping of people. Also, these 3 people that Kraven lands behind are way too casual about the whole thing. It's like they're not even in the same scene. At least digitally remove your hands from your pockets and prepare to defend yourself. This cool shot of Aaron Taylor Johnson punching glass is less impressive than when he did it in Bullet Train. I need to know what kind of magic Chameleon used to keep his sandals on during that whole ordeal. I get that Sergei has enhanced strength, but does he also have magical powers that keep this helicopter from simply lifting him off the ground? Dima!
I'm gonna do what I do, get us a name, and then you are going to do what you do, and we will get him back.
But I'm not gonna do what I do until it's dark, because I look more badass talking on the phone then. Kidnapped person's finger gets sent to a family member to show how serious the kidnappers are cliche.
1.
What I can't figure out is why the foreigner has to pull this move every single time he's going to kill someone. This man isn't armed and doesn't seem to be too concerned about the situation. The foreigner could just shoot him immediately and move on with his day, and this whole bit isn't nearly as cool as the movie thinks it is. In case you confused it with Northern Liverwurst. This sequence of him sneaking up the stairs less than a foot behind these guys because he walks quietly like a cat, I'm guessing, is easily one of the goofiest things I've ever seen in a movie. This hallway fight scene starts good, but it's dark as hell, cut to shit, and obscured with muzzle flashes. It easily could have been cool. It just seems to have chosen not to be.
Drop me, and you'll never find your brother, Kraven.
This line is delivered as if it's supposed to be some holy shit he knows his name moment. The thing is, no one watching cares.
This is crushed rosary peace.
I don't care who you are or what you do in the comics, you do not know what a plant looks like beyond a shadow of a doubt when it is crushed.
The man who did this knows his toxins.
So the guy who made the poison darts knows how to make poison darts? You don't say!
Wait for the end. That's the best part.
And by the end, he means the digital roll credits that happens after all the unnecessary facial recognition zooming and enhancing. It's super fucking weird that this record gives his father's name without his status as alive and his mom's cause of death without her name.
Kraven had a list.
Jesus Christ, this whole story revolves around this fucking list. A lot of headaches could have been saved if he just didn't bother writing shit down. Kraven might have killed this guy anyway, but why would you reach for a stick instead of the gun on your back?
There are 5 guys walking into my building right now who do not look like they belong here.
Because they're wearing suits? I never thought I'd say this, but why is Ariana DeBose?
I found someone in New York, a biochemist, a Professor Miles Warren.
I'm glad these Sony Spider-Man adjacent movies are ending because even hinting at doing an adaptation of the goddamn Clone Saga is getting you 100 sins. Fuck you, Miles Warren, and your contribution to the mess that is Marvel Comics in the 90s.
I was indestructible, like a rhino.
Indestructible animals don't end up on the list of endangered species. Kraven with 20% more ass shots. Calypso hops out of the side door of the aircraft so she can walk around back and have a conversation with Kraven in front of the rear door as it opens. It's weird, but she does sum up my main issue with this movie.
I don't like the feel of this at all.
I'll get to the part where I start to give a shit.
I'm glad someone finally said it.
These are Eastern Siberian rosary peas.
Movie makes up a subspecies of this plant to get around the fact that rosary peas aren't native to Siberia and are found all over the world in tropical climates.
Actually, I'm pretty good with one of these things. Archery at summer camp.
Thinking summer camp skills translate into real-world skills. I made what could probably pass as a coffee mug at summer camp one year. I'm not going around claiming to be a pretty good potter.
Sergey, we're gonna get Dmitri back. But is all of this really worth it?
Is she referring to the serial killing? Is she asking if the serial killing is all really worth it?
I find this formula that was developed by MI6. It first brings on your darkest nightmares, then paralysis of your vital organs, before a most violent death.
And that is why I only loaded into the darts while riding in a car on a bumpy road while laughing in the face of God himself. I've stopped worrying about this story and learned to love the important questions, like where did the Rhino get the cutest little black backpack?
We work together. You could be my partners.
This guy has been asking people to be his partner all movie, and I'm beginning to think the reason no one takes him up on his offer is that he never explains what that means. Ramboing up a Kraven.
Where is he?
He's already here.
Is there a missing scene where Kraven communicated with this leopard to attack these people? Because that would have actually been an interesting scene, which I guess would have no place in this movie.
Amateurs. So embarrassing for us. Do it.
If Alexei had a more productive plan than sending the guys in the woods, then why didn't he start with that plan? Kraven gets hit with the dart full of super MI6 ketamine, and we finally get to see his darkest nightmare, which turns out to be spiders. And yes, Kraven is afraid of spiders in the comics, and that ties into his hatred of Spider-Man, but this is Sony, and I know they just wanted nerds to think about Spider-Man and nerdgasm themselves. Since the foreigner had the 1-2-3 drop on Kraven, why didn't he just shoot him with a real gun this time and end it all now? I get that Kraven is a skilled hunter, but the stupidity of the villains in this movie definitely gives him an unneeded advantage.
Honestly, I thought that would be harder.
So did my college girlfriend.
1, 2.
Since he has Kraven dead to rights, what even was the purpose of the hypnotic counting?
3, motherfucker.
Oh, it was just script wanking.
Goodbye, Kraven the Hunter.
Roll credits. The fact that Kraven is needed to be saved twice by this magical elixir tells me that he is a hunter. And what I did not sign up for was 2 hours of the title character being at their job, which also happens to be in the title.
Legends don't die.
Zar has entered the chat.
I knew you had more of that.
Well, forgive me for not trusting a lunatic.
You've been trusting a lunatic this entire goddamn movie.
You're not the only one with secrets.
Guess we'll find out more about Calypso's secrets in the sequel. Sequel. So the Rhino hears that Kraven is dead by secondhand account and just leaves without any further confirmation. Did he think the foreigner just wanted some alone time to do weird stuff with the body? There is no clarity to be had as to why the Buffalo are doing this for Kraven. It was suggested that he has some connection to them, but it never seemed to be Ant-Man levels of I can convince them to do a stampede. Also, how would Kraven have been able to be specific enough with the herd for them to avoid killing Dimitri in the process?
Gosh, you're really heavy.
Giving Kraven the Hunter Spider-Man-esque retorts. Bert's sudden, unceremonious, and decidedly goofy death by Buffalo Horn. And no, I didn't know his name. I had to look it up. It will never make sense to me that this guy who just lifted this big-ass truck was so worried about being on the Hunter's list that he set out to preemptively kill Kraven. There was no reason for him to f*** around and find out when he could have chilled on his couch waiting to see. It's not just that I wanted Rhino to bust out of his pants and give us a glimpse of his lightning cock. I'm also concerned that he's been skipping leg day. Rhino ends up having the same weakness as the Death Star.
He deserves to die.
He will. But Demetrius, not you.
When Kraven said he will, apparently he meant painfully 30 seconds later. So now this just feels like Dimitri shooting him would have been merciful.
I wish I never met you, Kravenovs.
You and everyone viewing this movie, Rhino.
How did you find me?
I'm a hunter.
So mostly analyzing his scat then?
You would not go after him for me, so I sent him after you.
There it is. The father was behind the whole thing. He's your real villain. And hero, apparently. Rhino and Kraven were just pawns, and none of their motivations mattered even a little bit.
After everything you've done, all the pain you put in the world.
Thing is, we've not really seen very much of that, aside from him being addicted to Dimitri. In case you confused it with the movie just ending. No, it's not that we're not aroused. It's just fan service.
Sir, I'd rather work on the bleachers.
Take your pants off.
I don't even know your name.
Bend over.
Ben, nice to meet you. Victor Hugo.
They are prey. We are predators.
I'm a guest here of Radomir. Alexei Sitsievich.
Mr. March, we're gonna play a game. It's called Shut Up Unless You're Me.
It was at that moment that I knew I would be a dancer.
Still fast as boy. I don't think you have any idea how fast I really am.
That boy.
I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5?
I prefer Kraven.
Oh, you are a sweet child.
And I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for you meddling kids.
I have a list.
A list.
Groceries, ma'am.
What you do for work, exactly.
Don't worry, I'm in charge of your mom.
Dima.
Be a man.
You want to become one with the gun. Feel the gun. Caress the gun.
Who is this doctor? What did he do to you?
In case you haven't noticed, I don't need any rescuing, but you did once.